Genesis chapter 44. Joseph gave the following orders to his household manager: fill these men's bags with as much food as they can carry, and put each man's silver in the mouth of his bag. Then put my cup, the silver cup, in the mouth of the youngest's luggage, along with the silver paid for the wheat. And he did everything according to Joseph's orders. As soon as morning came, they sent the men and their donkeys away. They had not yet left the city when Joseph said to his household manager, "Go after those men, and when you catch up with them, say to them, 'Why have you repaid evil for good? Is this not the cup my Lord uses for drinking and for divination? You have committed great evil.'" When he reached them, he repeated these words to them. But they answered him, "Why does my Lord say this? Far be it from his servants to do such a thing. We brought back to you from the land of Canaan the silver we found in the mouth of our luggage. How could we steal silver or gold from your master's house? If any of your servants are found with her, he will die, and we, the rest, will be my Lord's slaves." And he said, "I agree. Only whoever is found with her will be my slave, the rest will be free." Each of them quickly unloaded their luggage and opened it. The administrator then began the search, from the luggage of the oldest to that of the youngest. And the cup was found in Benjamin's luggage. At this they tore their garments. Then everyone loaded their donkeys again and returned to the city. When Judah and his brothers arrived at Joseph's house, he was still there. Then they fell to the ground before him. And Joseph asked them, "What have you done? Don't you know that a man like me is able to guess?" Judah replied, "What shall we say to my Lord? What can we say? How can we prove our innocence? God has brought to light the guilt of your servants. Now we are my Lord's slaves, as is also the one who was found with the cup." But Joseph said, "Far be it from me to do such a thing. Only the one who was found with the cup will be my slave. The rest can go back to their father's house in peace." Then Judah addressed him, saying, "Please, my lord, allow me to say a word to you. Do not let your anger burn against your servant, although you are equal to Pharaoh himself. My lord asked these servants of yours if we still had a father and any other brothers. And we answer, 'We have an old father, whose youngest son was born to him in his old age. His brother is dead, and he is the only son of the same mother left, and his father loves him very much. Then you told your servants to bring him to you so that your eyes could see him. And we answered my lord that the young man could not leave his father, for if he did, his father would die. Yet you told your servants that if our youngest brother did not come with us, we would never see you again. When we returned to your servant my father, we told him what my lord had said. When our father sent us back to buy some more food, we said to him, 'We can only go back there if our youngest brother goes with us. For we cannot see the man's face unless our youngest brother is with us.' Your servant, my father, then said to us, 'You know that my wife bore me only 2 sons. One of them went away, and I said, sure enough he was torn to pieces. And to this day, I never saw him again. If now you also take this one of mine, and some harm happens to him, the sadness you will cause me will make my gray hairs go down to the grave. Now therefore, if I go back to your servant, to my father, without taking the young man with us, as soon as my father, who is so attached to him, realize that the young man is not with us, he will die. Your servants will make their old father go down his white hairs to the grave in sorrow.' Moreover, your servant assured his father of the youth's safety, saying to him, 'If I do not bring him back, I will bear this guilt before you for the rest of my life. So now I beg you, please let your servant remain as my lord's slave in place of the young man, and let him go back with his brothers. How can I return to my father without taking the young man with me? No, I cannot see the evil that would befall my father.'" Genesis chapter 45. At this point, Joseph could no longer contain himself in front of all those who were there, and he shouted, "Get everyone out." So no one else was present when Joseph revealed himself to his brothers. And he wept so loudly that the Egyptians heard him, and the news reached Pharaoh's palace. Then Joseph said to his brothers, I am Joseph. Is my father still alive? But his brothers were so amazed at him that they could not answer him. Come closer, Joseph told his brothers. As they approached, he said to them, I am Joseph, your brother, the one you sold into Egypt. Now, do not grieve or blame yourselves for selling me here, for it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you. There have already been 2 years of famine in the land, and for the next 5 years there will be no cultivation or harvest. But God sent me ahead of you to preserve a remnant for you in this land, and to save your lives with a great deliverance. So it was not you who sent me here, but God himself. He made me Pharaoh's minister, and he made me administrator of all his palace and governor of all Egypt. Go quickly back to my father and tell him, thus says his son Joseph, God has made me Lord of all Egypt. Come here, don't be late. You will live in the region of Goshen, and you will be close to me, you, your children, your grandchildren, your sheep, your oxen, and all your goods. I will feed you there, because there will still be 5 years of famine. Otherwise, you, your family, and all your livestock will end up in poverty. You are seeing with your own eyes, and so is my brother Benjamin, that it really is I who am speaking to you. Tell my father how much honor is done to me in Egypt and what you yourselves have witnessed. And bring my father here quickly. Then he fell on his brother Benjamin weeping and embraced him, and Benjamin also embraced him weeping. Then he kissed all his brothers and wept with them. And only later did his brothers manage to talk to him. When it was heard in Pharaoh's palace that Joseph's brothers had arrived, Pharaoh and all his advisers rejoiced. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, Tell your brothers to load their animals and return to the land of Canaan. And return here, bringing your father and your families. I will give you the best of the land of Egypt, and you will enjoy the abundance of the land. Also order them to take chariots from Egypt to bring their wives, their children, and their father. Don't worry about your possessions, for the best of all Egypt will be yours. So did the children of Israel. Joseph provided them with chariots, as Pharaoh had ordered, and also supplies for the journey. To each he gave a change of new clothes, but to Benjamin he gave 300 pieces of silver and 5 changes of new clothes. And his father sent 10 asses loaded with the best of what was in Egypt, and 10 asses loaded with wheat and bread and other provisions for the journey. Then he said goodbye to his brothers, and, as they left, he said to them, Don't fight along the way. So they left Egypt and returned to their father Jacob in the land of Canaan. And they gave him the news, Joseph is still alive. Indeed, he is the governor of all Egypt. Jacob's heart nearly stopped. He couldn't believe them. But when they related to him all that Joseph had told them, and seeing Jacob, his father, the chariots that Joseph had sent to fetch him, his spirit revived. And Israel said, Enough. My son Joseph is still alive. I will go see him before I die.